Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I'm Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we're going to be asking and answering the question, is the overall XR industry cooked? Now, like normal, I'll examine this from all aspects, the consumer side, the developer side, and the overall industry. And of course, I'll do my best to play devil's advocate for both sides of the argument. But first, let's just get the obvious stuff out of the way. Oh no, here we go again. Mateo is being negative about VR. He's hot, he's cold, he's saying it's amazing, he's saying it's terrible. That's not the case, guys. I know it might seem that way sometimes, but generally, I am reacting to the overall industry, what I'm seeing online, what I'm hearing from people at these conferences I go to, the developers I speak with, etc., etc. So while I may say things are looking hot one day here and things are looking cold, as we all know, VR does this, and it's not just the consumer side. It's not just the developer side. It's the overall industry. It's everything involved. So I'm reacting to that. And of course, I'm going to play both sides of the argument. So let's just get into it. And the first topic to start with is, people definitely have legitimate reasons to be concerned with the XR industry. Meta has been consistently burning billions and not seeing a return as of yet. They've also cut back funding to a lot of developers. The VR games industry has shifted more towards a free-to-play, kidsy model. Traditional news outlets, specifically PC Gamer, continue to shit on VR. We've seen plenty of VR studios either shut down or scale back recently. And lastly, after so many years, Meta still remains the only big player in this industry, making them by default a monopoly. So yes, that is obviously a lot of things to be upset about, rightfully so. And I've even heard online people like, well, look at AWE. Meta's showing was so small there. That's indicative of the entire XR industry. Meanwhile, like, everyone else is popping off with more tech and more people are getting involved. Meta doesn't need to showcase anything at AWE. They are the monopoly. But we also just heard that they're not just working with Ray-Ban anymore. They're now working with Prada. They're now working with Oakley, and they're going to expand their XR line. We also know they have new headsets on the way. They're trying new designs out, not just the same like tried and true Quest form factor. So don't worry about Meta. Meta knows what they're doing. And for the people who constantly go, they've lost billions. This is the argument I hear, especially like from PlayStation VR2 fanboys. Like, well, at least they didn't lose billions. Meta has stated almost 10 years ago, we are investing billions every single year, and we're going to invest more and more. And eventually, we're going to cross the threshold where we're making more than we're spending. We're yet to see that. I think it will happen. I think this technology is getting there, and it will pop off. But there were just so many unknown hurdles. And that's the next topic I want to get into. The unknown, because lots of people are clueless in this industry. The more I get involved, the more people I talk to, the more hardware I try, the more I get my hands dirty on the development side. And just now, after 10 years of this industry actually existing, we have tons of historical data to reference. One thing I've learned for sure is that there are a lot of strong opinions, many of them not based in any sort of fact. You see this most often on the consumer side. These are people who just have these strong opinions like, I'm sorry, there's not a single VR game out there that is worth $40. Now, the ramification of that belief and spreading that thought, true or not, that's very subjective. What happens is the industry shifts and we get things like a push towards free-to-play and microtransactions. And I love using the example of how the StarCraft team, they spent, I think it was a year and a half, or maybe it was only a year. But the expansion of StarCraft, the first expansion, which is a full-fledged, like fully funded expansion, multi-million-dollar expansion for an award-winning top-tier game, it made less money than the first digital item in World of Warcraft. That digital item probably took that much effort. Why? Why would the industry work so hard and put so much risk on themselves and their company and their livelihood when the player base is just going to throw money away on digital nonsense? And as this scales up and you get into companies that most of their money comes from their stock price, they're going to push the industry towards those microtransactions harder and harder. So in truth, we, the gamers, are the problem. When we refuse to buy games and say, I'm sorry, the value of this game is worth $5, even though a VR studio worked their ass off for 3 years and we're like, it's worth $5. We're unwilling to spend $30 or $40 on that game, but we are willing to spend $20, $30 in microtransactions without a second thought. Well, yes, that's where the industry is going to go. So we are our own worst enemy here. And luckily enough, I grew up in an era where these things didn't exist. And I'm still the type of person who's pretty much never paid for a microtransaction ever in my entire life. Hands down. So what I'm saying is put your money where your mouth is. Now, another frustrating aspect of this is almost like a form of tribalism. When you just try to be rational and explain to people how things actually work, they do not care. Recently, one of the biggest content creators who has always supported the PlayStation VR came out and said the future of it is very uncertain, and they were blasted by the community. It's Gamertag VR, whose opinion I do truly respect, and will say he's been one of the biggest supporters of the PlayStation VR forever. And when someone like that comes out and says, listen, I'm concerned for the future of Sony and VR, well then you should listen up. As content creators, we are always accused of having an agenda, or just you don't like our opinions, or whatever the case may be. But some people will say, I crap on the PlayStation VR because Meta gives me money to do it, or I think I'm getting clicks from it. And I'm not saying these people don't exist, but in the VR community, I think it's extremely few and far between. Now, the opposite for like PC Gamer, I think they shit on VR for the clicks, for the rage bait. That's my personal opinion. Or the one guy writing those articles just has some crazy vendetta against VR, or personally thinks it's a gimmick. He actually really feels that way and you're getting his opinion. I can't really tell for sure. You can never really tell what's in somebody's heart. But when you look at someone like GT, who has always loved VR and has always been a major supporter of the PlayStation VR, and then he comes out and says, listen, I'm concerned. Listen up. Don't turn on him. He's been on your side for so long. So again, we are part of the problem, this tribalism. Just be open-minded. Listen, sometimes you're going to hear things in life that suck and you don't want to be true, but they are true and you got to deal with them. And what you have to do is stop and think. Like, I saw the petition out there, 1,000 people, signed the petition that said, hey, Sony, don't abandon VR. I personally don't think it's going to do anything. I personally think, Sony has much bigger fish to fry. The overall gaming industry is crazy right now. And for this subsection that makes such a tiny amount of money, it's easy for them to just completely forget about it. That's my personal opinion, but it's an informed opinion. It's not just, I'm saying this to piss you guys off, to get a reaction, to get the clicks. I'm always telling you guys like it is. So I think we all personally need to be a little bit more informed, because then we appreciate the industry more. We appreciate how hard people are working. We make the right decisions to bolster the industry and bring it to where we want it to be. So we just went through a lot of legitimate reasons why we should be concerned about the future of the XR industry, but now let's look at the opposite side. We have plenty of VR studios that not only survived the last 10 years of this industry, but also managed to thrive. And that includes people like Shell Games, Resolution Games, Beat Games. I guess you just need games in your title to survive. I think that's how it works. Now, jokes aside, there are a lot of people who have done really well, and then some of the best people got acquired by Meta, which has been up and down, pros and cons there. But overall, a lot of people did very well in this industry and continue to do very well. And even some studios like nDreams that were forced to shrink down a bit over time. A lot of people had to cut some staff because things got tight in the last year. But nDreams is now pushing out their biggest game ever. So yeah, they had to cut the studio down a little bit, but they didn't say, all right, let's scale back. Let's go into free to play. Let's make a kidsy game. Let's clone Gorilla Tech. No, they said, we believe in this industry. Let's push harder. Let's make that kick-ass game. And Reach looks like it's going to be that game. I'm absolutely pumped for it. So the quality of games is going up, but more importantly, so many new players are getting into this industry. If all the signs were saying the industry was cooked, it was going down, there's no future, no one would be getting in now. Also, there's like little hardware partners like B Haptics who've survived so many years. They've been around, which you gotta scratch your head and go, well, all they do is like make a couple haptic suits and they're not cheap. And they make it to every conference, and they're always pushing out new hardware and new updates. So they must be doing well enough. And I've asked them, they said, yeah, we're doing great. Nothing to worry about here. So this industry is extremely viable. But Apple dipped their toes in, and we know they're going to push harder with their next device. X-Rail has been at it for years, and I just tried the X-Rail 1 at AWE, and I finally think we actually have like a real monitor replacement device, which is sweet. I actually am playing with the Play for Dream, no pun intended there, but I've been working with that device. It's very impressive what you can now get into a small form factor. The industry is just getting better and better, more and more players, and it's also being used outside of just VR gaming. Like I saw a lot of tech being used in the medical industry to train people in dangerous environments, and even VR arcade stuff. Like I did a VR bungee, which was just kick ass, and I would love to go to like an arcade theme park, which was just things like that. That would just be my highlight. That would be like my Disneyland personally. So as much as people are out there saying the VR industry is cooked, it's not even close. It's kicking off. I honestly think in the next few years, Meta's going to cross that line where they're now making more profit than they're spending. It's honestly going to increase in the hardware XR department more than the VR and games, unfortunately. But the whole industry will be elevated. And I think we're 10 years out from products like glasses being mainstream and being used in tandem with your cell phone, because I've already started using a lot of those devices, and when you get used to them and the functionality and what they bring to the table, you don't want to live without it. It's like people living without their cell phone now. That's the future we're headed to with XR. And that was today's video. Get down in those comments and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I suck. Tell me I'm stupid. Tell me the PlayStation's the best, or tell me I'm great. Tell me I'm handsome. I don't care. Just, let me know what you guys think. I always enjoy your feedback. If you like this, thumbs up. If you hated it, give it 2 thumbs down. Try and do that. I don't care. Honestly though, guys, if you're new here and you enjoy this type of content, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on next time.